Hi, and welcome to Best in Tesla News, episode 250. 250 weeks straight. Tesla's full self-driving is making some insane drive this week, and Tesla continues to look strong in China while the legacy automakers continue to lose market share. What else is new? And people are talking a lot about EV subsidies after Elon will be head of Doge, but seems to forget all about the trillions of dollars that are paid every year in fossil fuel subsidies. And we know Elon is going to help the US clean up their expenditures, but that might also tell us a little bit about the trouble the legacy automakers are in. And BYD hit another major milestone this week, and it seems like Kim Kardashian has become an ambassador for Tesla. And Chinese EV makers go all in on autonomy to rival Tesla. And Lucid software is being tested in Germany right now, and it's not looking good. And we have another bankruptcy in the EV world. All of this and much more in today's episode. Let's dive right in.
Let's put our living stereo stylus in this groove.
So Tesla continues to look strong in China while the legacy automakers continue to lose market share. Tesla Chan shared his great chart again this week, sharing that Tesla has sold 17,100 cars last week in China, keeping the high numbers that we saw the week before, and is still on target to beat last year's numbers in China. As we can also see here on Roland's great chart, that Tesla is up year-to-date 7.4%. And we do still hear that EVs are down, but global EV sales were up 35% in October. And that is basically mostly carried by China, that jumped up 54% year over year. But even the US was up over 11%. And again, as in most of 2024, it is Europe that is dragging their feet, mostly because Germany's EV incentive disappeared, as that is the biggest market in China. But other places like in my country Denmark, BEVs are still skyrocketing. But overall, EVs are up on a global scale, no matter what the mainstream media would like to say. Here are some of the actual numbers, and here you can see that the plug-ins are up. But what about BEVs? Well, they are estimated to jump up with about 1.5 million units in 2024. So not growing as fast as in other years, but still growing very nicely. So BEVs are still up about 15% in 2024. I know people love to show that the growth in percentage is slowing down fast, but that is also a natural thing, that the higher we go up the S-curve, the less in percentage the growth is. But we can also see that we are getting close to that 17 million EVs sold in 2024. So quick shout out here to ARK Invest, back in 2015 said that their guess was that there will be 17 million EVs sold in 2022. So they were only off by 2 years, whereas IEA thought there would only be 2 million EVs sold in 2022, when they have changed that number from 200,000 a couple of years before, but it ended up being over 10 million units. So people laughed at ARK Invest's prediction back then, but it turned out it was IEA that was the joke. And yes, plug-ins are also growing fast, but even Bob Lutz, that said in November 7 years ago that Tesla was doomed and would go bankrupt.
Audi and Porsche are all coming out with 300-mile electric luxury sedans. I think they're doomed.
Yes, that Bob Lutz. Well, even he is saying the plug-ins are clearly not the way, and the future belongs to the BEVs.
And you're looking at a vehicle that has two powertrains. That's got to be painful when you're doing your business case, right?
Long term, I don't think it's viable.
Right.
But in the medium term,
Yes.
if that's what the public wants,
Yes.
and if that's
People
what
are
they'll
going to pay
accept,
for it, Jack. Why would
and
you
if
not do that?
and if by doing a 30-mile plug-in range,
Right.
they can make the EPA numbers, then in the medium term, it's a sound strategy. But Jack's absolutely right. Long term, a series hybrid with an electric drivetrain and an IC drivetrain makes no sense. You got to get rid of one of the drivetrains.
Yeah, but-
And ultimately, I bet you 10 or 15 years from now, EVs will dominate.
Right.
And they'll have a 500-mile range. They'll be utterly reliable. They'll be cheap. they'll have a 5 to 10 minute recharge time, and people will remember IC engine vehicles fondly.
And Michael Dunn, who does some great work and knows the Chinese market better than most, has also shared this chart showing the decline of the legacy automakers in China, as we are talking about on a weekly basis at the moment. As he wrote in this chart, foreign car brands in China continues to get crushed. Global brands have lost 28 points of market share to the Chinese since 2020. This means that global brands 2024 deliveries are down 6.7 vehicles compared to 2020. So down 6.7 million vehicles in just 4 years. For comparison, it took the Detroit 3 4 decades to lose that much ground in the US. And they have done that in China in just 4 years. Nowhere to run, GM, Hyundai, Ford, Volkswagen, Jeep, Nissan taking the brunt. Even exclusive brands like Porsche and Mercedes are feeling the pain. Yes, the fall in China, as I have been talking about for years, is getting very clear for everyone to see. I know some people don't like that Elon shall help the US government to clean up expenditures, but he does know a thing or two about cutting costs, as we saw with Twitter. And the US economy is due for a makeover. As Wall Street Mob wrote, it was only in July 28, 2024 we reached $35 trillion for US national debt. About 100 days later, we are at $36 trillion in debt. Interest rate on the national debt is on pace for $1.4 trillion for 2025 fiscal year. About 25% of the US government revenue will go to pay interest on debt. Wow, that is an unsustainable amount of debt the US has piled up at an even quicker pace. I really hope Elon can stop the bleeding, or this could end really badly, like we are seeing in so many countries around the world at the moment. According to the Council of Foreign Relationships Sovereign Risk Tracker, 10 countries have their highest default risk rating. 10, meaning a 50+% chance of default in the next 5 years. Argentina, Belarus, Ghana, Lebanon, Pakistan, Russia, Sri Lanka, Tunisia, Ukraine and Venezuela. Even though Argentina has been cutting costs like crazy, so they might be safe at the moment, but these countries might not be able to just pay their interest rate on their debt, as their debt becomes too high or the economy too weak. And this is also one of the things many people are forgetting when talking about the legacy automakers like Volkswagen, that is fighting Toyota to become the most indebted company in the world. Sure, some of that debt is an asset, but most of their debt is an asset that are tied up with their ICE business that is going away, and their economy is also under tremendous pressure as they are losing sales, having to cut costs, fire employees, closing plants and investing billions of dollars in the shift to BEVs, adding even more to their debt while their economy weakens. So if those assets suddenly becomes part of their debt and their economy weakens even more, it could also become too big of a burden for the legacy automakers to pay off their interest rate on their debt, just as we have seen for so many countries. Approximately 12% of Volkswagen operating cash flow in 2022 was used to pay interest on their debt, and the interest rate has only gone up ever since, and their debt has only become bigger. So even though many say it doesn't matter with legacy's big debt as it is bound to their assets, well, it is already a big burden on their cash flow and can quickly worsen. And that is also why someone like Tesla has paid off basically all their long-term debt and therefore is not really at any risk of bankruptcy, as some analysts still think even to this day, as most of the legacy automakers are actually in risk of bankruptcy. Just look at this Altman Z-score that James has put together. Tesla is very much in the clear, but everyone else is not even in the gray zone, but in the distress zone. And yes, Lucid and Rivian even have a negative Altman Z-score. So it does not take too much of a push to push them over the edge. And that will be very expensive for Germany if they have to bail out Volkswagen, or Japan if they have to bail out Toyota, as they are just too big to fail, but I hope they are not too big to bail out, as this will no doubt put some pressure on the country's economy. We have heard a lot of talk about Elon not wanting the EV tax credit, but he's also saying remove all subsidies, so we will have a level playing field. But removing the EV tax credit will hurt Tesla. Well, they will lose some sales for sure, but it will hurt the other guys much more than Tesla. So Tesla could actually get rid of a bit of the competition. So overall, I agree with Elon that removing the EV tax credit would benefit Tesla in the long run. And I have even had people saying to me, if EVs are so good, why do they need $7,500 in tax credit? Well, that is exactly what Elon is saying. They don't. But I also think that people are very misinformed, they're just not informed about oil subsidies, because in 2022 that was a staggering $7 trillion. So if ICE cars are so good, why do they need $7 trillion in subsidies? IMF made study on oil subsidies, and as they wrote, we estimate that scrapping explicit and implicit fossil fuel subsidies would prevent 1.6 million premature deaths annually, raise government revenues by $4.4 trillion, and put emissions on track towards reaching global warming targets. It will also redistribute income, as fossil fuel subsidies benefits rich households more than poor ones. So yes, let's get rid of EV subsidies, but only if we only get rid of oil subsidies, or it will not be a level playing field. And I'm sure if people in the US had to pay as much for gasoline as we do here in Europe, the EV transition would happen a lot faster there too. I know many people in the US think that gasoline prices have become so high over the last 5 years, but that is still nothing compared to here in Europe. The current average price for gasoline in the United States is reported to be around $3 per gallon as of November 2024. That is the equivalent of 75 cents per liter. Here in my country and most other European countries, we pay around $2 per liter, so about 2.5 times more for gasoline. So no wonder that more people in my country are now buying BEVs than fossil fuel cars. The big difference there is, of course, mostly due to higher taxations here in Europe, as our governments are trying to push people towards greener solution. And of course, the US produces a significant amount of its own oil, which also reduces the price. But we can't deny that $7 trillion in subsidies for the fossil fuel industry is completely ridiculous when we're trying to get off fossil fuel. It should not be subsidized, it should be taxed higher to help us get to our goal of the Paris Agreement. So that is why Elon is also out saying get rid of the subsidies, not just EV tax credit. But sure, Tesla would lose some addressable market, as their cars would suddenly become $7,500 more expensive for their customers. But Tesla is earning good money on selling their cars, where everyone else is losing money. So it will hurt everyone else much more than Tesla. And the starting price of a Tesla, even without the EV tax credit, are still under the US average selling price. And combine that with Tesla coming with 2 more affordable models next year, Tesla would easily make up for the losses for the Model 3 and Model Y with the next 2 models that are more affordable, opening up their addressable market once again. But if we at the same time could cut subsidies for the oil industry, we should definitely see a big shift towards EVs and away from the ICE car. But let's see what will happen over the next year, if they can even get rid of the tax credit. And I think it's going to be a very uphill battle to get rid of oil subsidies, as we have some very big and powerful companies that don't want that to happen. And the legacy automakers are getting desperate, as they are losing China, and their EVs do not sell very well. So something new and radical must be done, like changing the logo. So we are seeing more and more of the legacy automakers struggling to find their way. So they're trying to rebrand themselves by killing their own recognizable logos. So let's start with Jaguar, that just released a new ad, not showing a single car. This ad could be for a fashion show or some new shoes. No one knows, as they show nothing. Just as Elon wrote on X, do you sell cars? So their only thing they show in this ad is their new so-called logo, as it is now just their name, Jaguar. So I think Stecker Auto summed it up perfectly. Jaguar, the latest luxury brand to succumb to the sans-serif invasion, apparently believing that the path to modernity requires erasing decades of identity. The legendary crawling badge gone, the instant recognizable feeling that endures countless of bonnets, replaced by yet another minimalist word mark that could just as easily sell premium yogurt. This bland rebrand accompanies Jaguar's attempt to transformation into an all-electric luxury player, with future models set to cost twice as much, because nothing says we're different quite like looking exactly like everyone else. They are calling it exuberant modernism. Yes, really. Complete with a trendy woke marketing campaign aiming at that ever-elusive younger, wealthier demographics. So here we are, watching another distinctive brand dive headfirst into the sea of sameness. Jaguar's brawling cat didn't just fade away. It was sacrificed on the altar of generic luxury branding. When every luxury brand looks the same, what makes any of them special? But Jaguar is not alone. Audi is having trouble in China with their EV sales. Audi's technology is perceived as outdated in China, so something must be done, right? Well, Audi is basically giving up in China, but I'll get back to that in a moment. But the first thing they of course do is a new branding strategy in China, where instead of the iconic four-ring logo, vehicles will now be identified with Audi in capital letters. Yeah, this move is aimed at differentiate the Chinese market offerings from the global Audi brand. So this is only for the Chinese market. So again, because Audi has got a bad reputation with the EVs, not their ICE cars, they are trying to rebrand themselves to get back in the game in China. Audi says that the Audi E concept car here represent a preview of 3 upcoming mid and full-size models it will introduce starting in mid-2025. Looks nice, but looks like so many others. So why did I say that Audi has basically given up in China? Well, because they have basically been reduced to a car designer. Audi will design the new electric car, but it will be with Chinese tech inside. They will use the IM platform tech plus the Momenta smart driving tech and SAIC's motor-invested Z1 smart cockpit tech. It's going to utilize the supply chain of a lot of the SAIC Motors smart EV brands, IM in particular. So it will basically be an SAIC EV with all the Chinese tech inside, but with an Audi badge on the front. That is no longer the beloved 4 rings, but just their name. So their slogan, Versprung durch Technik, which translates to advancement through technology. Well, I guess for Audi in China, they now have to change that slogan to advancement through Chinese technology. So the Chinification of the foreign premium brands in China continues. But I guess that is one way to survive the bloodbath that is coming. Because in Europe they are also bleeding badly, so maybe Audi need to rebrand themselves here as well. Audi will close their factory in Belgium earlier next year after failing to find buyers for their Q8 e-tron. It will be axed at the end of February 2025. That plant's 3,000 workers will be laid off. But we also have another one leaving Volkswagen all by himself, according to Volkswagen, as Volkswagen's American CEO suddenly resigns. Pablo DC led both Volkswagen Group and Volkswagen brand for North America. But now former Porsche North America CEO Dr. Kjell Groner will take over. They didn't say much about why he has resigned, so let the speculation begin in the comments below. But Ford will also cut 14% of its European workforce amid Chinese challenging and slow EV sales. Ford plans to cut 4,000 jobs in Europe by 2027 and reduce production of its Explorer and Capri electric SUV. So the death spiral for the legacy automakers seems to continue, and some are desperately trying to rebrand themselves to try to get out of the death spiral. But I don't think that strategy is going to work. And let's squeeze in the last short news topics into this news show. Yes, it's time for the Tesla Shorts. BYD reached another milestone, their 10 millionth new energy vehicle produced. The automaker announced its 10 millionth new energy vehicle rolled off the assembly line on the 15th of November. BYD was founded in February 1995 with an initial workforce of around 20 employees. It has now become China's largest automaker with a total workforce of more than 900,000. And Northvolt, the battery manufacturer that also partnered with Volkswagen to make their upcoming battery, has filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection in the US on November the 21st, with a debt of $5.8 billion, showing just how difficult it is what Tesla has done, making their own battery. Here is a list of Northvolt investors. So let's see if they can find some more, as BMW also cancelled their $2 billion contract back in September, so they need more investors to continue their journey here in Europe. And Porsche continues to have issues with the Taycan in China, recalling the EV once again because of fire risk, just as we saw back in 2023 as well. This is the last thing the Porsche needs right now, as Xiaomi's SU7, the Porsche Taycan copy, has already sold over 100,000 units, as it has a starting price of only $30,000, but the Porsche Taycan is one of the most expensive EVs you can get in China. So no wonder, with the trouble Porsche is having, and you can get something that looks very similar like the SU7 for a fraction of the price, that Porsche have seen their sales in general in China drop by 29% in the first 9 months of 2024, mostly due to the poor performance of the Taycan, which dropped 50% in sales in 2024. Ouch. And Kim Kardashian wrote, "Have to give respect and credit to one of the best car designers ever, Franz von Holzhausen. This car is crazy." And Franz replied, "Thanks, Kim K. Amazing team. More to come." Oh yes, more cool designs to come. Can't wait to see what Franz is referring to here. But Kim Kardashian did see the Cybercab in real life with the Optimus robot sitting inside, but apparently she also found a working humanoid robot. So I don't know where this was, but I really would like to know, and hope Tesla will have more of these Optimus robot interactions with the public, so more people can see what Tesla has created here. As Kim asked if it could do a heart with the hands, and it did. So my question is, of course, was that done autonomously or was that remote controlled? But anyway, as Hawk wrote, looks like that robot is not coming back. And the Optimus Robot's X account replied, "Sorry, you had to find out this way." And Elon also gave Kim's post a reply with some cool sunglass emojis. No wonder, as Kim has basically become an all-out Tesla ambassador to her 359 million followers on Instagram for free. She usually gets paid about $2 million to post anything on Instagram. Now she's just spamming her followers about Tesla for free. And Tesla made another great deal for its customers in Texas. Get 1 year of unlimited overnight vehicle charging for $5 a month when taking delivery of a new Tesla and enrolling in Tesla Electric fixed plan by December 31. $5 a month for unlimited vehicle charging. Now that is a nice deal. And we got an update about Figure's newest robot, the Figure 2, which is training at the BMW factory, and the robot is now operating end-to-end use case 400% faster with 7 times higher success rate. So that is very cool to see. And Elon shared this post. "This is the top of Mega Bay at Starbase. I have never seen that before, and that looks insanely cool." And the German police finally got around to getting the protesters at the Berlin factory moved. German police launched an operation on Monday to remove Tesla Giga Berlin protesters from the forest nearby. And during the next couple of days, the protester camps was dismantled completely by the police. The decision is paramount and also immediate, said police spokeswoman Beta Cardels. Nice. And SpaceX had another Starship launch test flight number 6. And upcoming President Donald Trump arrived at Starbase in Texas and was of course met by Elon Musk. And the launch went great. The tower was ready for the catch as well, but they had to abort the catch attempt as the booster was apparently not ready. So they did a soft landing back in the ocean instead. And the Starship flew halfway around the world, skydived back to Earth, made a belly flop, and made a soft landing back in the ocean as well. So another great test flight for SpaceX, and as Elon wrote, the biggest technology challenging remaining for Starship is a fully and immediately reusable heat shield. Being able to land the ship, refill propellant, and launch right away with no refurbishment or laborious inspection, that is the acid test. Can't wait to see that test one day. And Elon did say on X, I am highly confident that we can send several uncrewed Starship to Mars in 2 years. If those ships don't increment the crater count on Mars, then crewed ship can be sent in 4 years. And then he was asked about the payload, and Elon answered, Cybertrucks and Optimus robots. Oh yes, maybe Optimus would even be able to do some work on Mars at that point and be driving around in the Cybertruck. Now that would be one hell of an ad for Tesla. And Chinese EV makers go all in on AI autonomy to rebuild Tesla. Autonomous driving and artificial intelligence are the buzzword at this week's Guangzhou Auto Show, the last major gathering of Chinese car makers for the year. So it seems like the Chinese automakers are realizing that Tesla's approach is the right one, with AI controlling your car. Must be tough for the legacy automakers at the auto show, as none of them are working on autonomy anymore. They must feel like dinosaurs. And my father-in-law that works at a distribution center for cars, so they get all kinds of cars, but last week he said they had never seen so many cars coming through their center. There were about 140 auto transporters, so they were holding in queue all day, blocking traffic. It seems like car companies are trying to push as many cars as they can out to their dealerships to get some high sales numbers here by the end of the year. And Tesla has added a new feature to their charging map in your Tesla. As they wrote, you can now tap on the supercharging pin to see if there are trailer-compatible stalls. If your vehicle is in trailer mode, trailer-friendly supercharger location appears at the top of the list. Nice. And speaking of charging, 500,000 Seattle homes without power. Every gas station in my neighborhood is closed, even those with generators have no internet or staff to process transactions. Do you know what is open? The Tesla superchargers. And if you ever experience a problem at a Tesla supercharger, Tesla have made it much easier to report a problem. With the new Tesla app update, you can report issues at a Tesla charger location at any time, also when not charging. And Rusty is testing out the Lucid at the moment, and he shared a video of Lucid superior high-tech software.
In a Lucid, I wanted to show that briefly in a short. If I haven't unfolded this display here, like this, I can touch it here, either directly to work, shortcuts, that's clear, or then here'll say point of interest, for example, to the restaurant, or simply search. Search input, then this window disappears, and yes, you have to unfold this thing here again. Hello? Yeah, somehow there can be, hello, results found. I didn't even search for them. Keine Suchergebnisse gefunden. Ich habe ja auch nicht nachgesucht.
But Rusty did more testing, and Rusty showed off its parking assist. And it seems like it won't be able to find a parking spot for you. I guess Rusty could have helped it a bit by finding a place with more free parking spots. Lucid, you have made some really great EVs, but your software really sucks. And good old Ross Gerber says he's kind of done with X because his post doesn't get as much engagement as they used to. Wonder why. Claims that nobody is on X anymore. Or maybe they just don't watch your content anymore, as you have become a complete mess, only controlled by your emotions. An actual smart summon is rolling out now in Europe and Middle East, so that is very nice. But this is of course Europe, so the bureaucracy joke is that this time around it only works with a 15-meter radius. So pretty useless until we get approval to do it in a parking lot over any distance. But as always in Europe, one step at a time. And Holmars took the new full self-driving highway stack to the test, as he wrote on X. I put the all-new Tesla full self-driving highway stack to the test by turning it on in San Francisco and letting it drive me until the battery hit 0. I didn't have to touch the driving control once in over 4 hours. This is a game changer for road trips. And we still see people saying full self-driving will never happen without LiDAR. Tesla is only at level 2. If people call driving itself for 4 hours through San Francisco traffic level 2, you know you're talking to a moron. Tesla is on the cusp of solving full self-driving, and I think 2025 is going to be a very exciting year. And before we end up with a bit of fun, I just want to make a quick shout out to my newest supporters of this channel. My new YouTube member, Jay Rinaldi. Thank you so much for all your support. I am doing this all by myself, but you guys are all the producers of this new show. Thank you. And let's end off with a bit of fun. In the week where Jaguar made their weird ad, let's see someone making a little fun about legacy automakers making weird ads.
Securing. Bentley. Securing. Oh yes, I'm up. Bentley. Securing.
That is all we have time for in this news show. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, don't forget to hit that like button. It really does help this video out a lot so others can find it on YouTube. And if you did like it, maybe you want to consider hitting that subscribe button, notification bell, so you don't miss out on future videos just like this one. And if you're already a subscriber to the channel, thank you so much for the support. But if you want to support the channel even more, remember you can, for as little as $1, become a patron of this channel, or become a member of the YouTube channel to get a shout out as some extra perks like early access, ad-free versions of my videos, exclusive videos. So hit the members button or check out Patreon to find out more. And don't forget to follow me on X. I post pretty much all the news as it comes out and a lot more. And check out the merch store to get some merchandise and support the show. It is also possible to support the show without becoming a member or a patron. There is a donation option down below or on my website bestintesla.com. You can also become an executive producer and get news articles, exclusive videos, behind the scenes, and access to all my research, charts and spreadsheet also on bestintesla.com, or as simple as hitting the super like button. And thank you for watching. And until next time, take care out there and be nice.